Welcome to Charts Today, and this recording for Tuesday, the 11th of October, comes to you from London. And while the big story is sterling, it's quite interesting just looking at the charts here. This is my weekly, my daily, 1%, 0.5%, and my 60-minute chart. So this is long term, medium term, short term, and I get this instant view just by changing from one instrument to another, unique to UpData. This is running on Bloomberg data, but of course you can run on dozens of different data sources. So here we see the the chart on the daily is just starting to nudge towards this 97.50 level on the dollar index, and we're just breaking the level we saw a couple of days ago at the end of last week. So we are seeing the dollar index up about 1/3% this morning. Upside targets here. There is one here at about 6% upside on the short-term chart, a massive 60% upside on the long-term chart. And it doesn't even bear thinking about what that means for the world economy, the dollar going up that much. But in 2014, we did see a very significant rise in the dollar here. This was the big move. Sideways, another big move. So dollar strength still the story over most currencies. And here we see the euro weak on the currencies here, just nudging new lows, converse to the dollar chart, and downside targets here on the euro. So we are seeing targets to the much lower than 110 here, so that would be significant as well. Japanese yen, also just remember this is the inverted, so this is dollar strength, and we're seeing here the yen the dollar is buying more yen, so again just dollar strength kicking in there. Sterling, well, what a story. We've been bearish on sterling ever since really we crossed through the cloud here in 2015. So we've been making calls to the downside, and we have had this downside potential of about one. Parity on sterling. We've got that on both charts here. We've got a new downside target on the short term of 122.09. Oh, sorry, 122.01, and we are below 123 this morning. So that's now not looking so difficult. Here's the flash crash, but interestingly, we're going lower than from where we recovered. So that is very bearish from a technical perspective. And if you want to keep an eye on what sterling's really doing, go to the 1 minute chart. Just select it up here and press the T key and you'll get all the targets. 117.50 if we move below this 122.20 level, which is looking quite likely. So the flash crash won't have been a temporary thing. So if we look at just other rates here, euro against the sterling, parity looking very likely here now. Money changes already changing below a euro to the pound, so a pound to the euro. So we're seeing parity as inevitable there. Don't have many downside targets here. 108. We do have a big downside target to 80 cents there, but given a long time ago. So it's not that clear cut, but of course sterling is looking weak across the board. If we look against the Swiss, again, much the same story. 120, 119 is the near side. 102, so parity there even, and the Australian dollar, we're actually just seeing a little bit of a recovery there, but again, it's fallen off very heavily here as well. Good to always, if you're looking at sterling, good to look at it against a series of different currencies. Take a look at the S&P 500. Closed up yesterday, so just nudging away from this 2150 level, which is really where we've been struggling. 2180 is the key. Can we break that? US election probably having some effect. Do have quite significant upside targets, as much as 20%, a few downside targets as well, in the doldrum short term really. Much the same is true of the Nasdaq, the Dow. The Russell still not making new highs here, unlike the S&P, so just not quite as bullish, but we do have upside targets there as well. The futures in London this morning suggesting a slight move down, just looking at the S&P and Nasdaq futures, just a 0.1% down, so no great thing there. FTSE breaking this to this 7100 level, really key there, and the FTSE 250 as well. Not quite as good as the currency-laden FTSE 100. We take a look at the DAX, and that's just starting to turn a bit bullish here on the clouds overnight. Most indices in Asia doing okay. If we look at crude, we're seeing a strong day yesterday in crude, just moving above the cloud here on the weekly, but not yet through, so not yet at all bullish. Strange time of year for crude to be covering. Normally it's weak at this time of year, but the picture has changed. Both for Brent and WTI and products like heating oil. If we look at nat gas, US nat gas, starting to look quite strong here. About the 327 level, we've got targets to short-term target to 352 if we can make new highs here, and 357 and even higher still. So nat gas starting to look quite bullish and just recovering here on the weekly for the first time in a couple of years. So US nat gas looking quite strong indeed. So we take a look at some of the other commodities. Just a quick look at gold. Gold has fallen off quite heavily. Now got a new upside target here, 1296. Long-term targets still look pretty good on gold. We just have got a short-term move below the cloud here, so it's starting to come through on the 60 minutes. So we just might see gold strengthen again, and silver's already through on that 60 minutes. So we're seeing that recovering as well. Copper just looking strong short term as well, but it's got a little bit of work to do still on the long term charts. Just taking a quick look at some of the bellwethers. Apple above again on the weekly last night and making new highs, so that's looking quite strong. New upside targets for Apple. Samsung news flow probably helping there. Google, we are seeing again upside targets and bullish on all time frames. Amazon still looking quite spectacular as a chart, and Facebook upside targets everywhere and back above 130 last night, so that's looking pretty good as well. So that's it for today. Keep an eye on those 1 minute charts for moves throughout the day. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.